Have you ever walked into a room and within seconds you just knew who was upset, who was hiding something, and who held the real power without anyone saying a word? Most people would call that intuition. Others might even think it's anxiety. Maybe you've spent nights lying awake, replaying conversations, analyzing every glance, every tone, wondering why you can't just exist as simply as everyone else seems to. But what if that's not the truth? What if you're not broken at all, but operating on an entirely different level? Today we're diving into something that's only recently starting to be understood. Traumatic intelligence. This is one of the rarest forms of intelligence. It doesn't come from school degrees or textbooks. It's forged in chaos. It's built in the dark. It's your brain's extraordinary ability to survive uncertainty by becoming hyper-aware, deeply analytical, and relentlessly observant. In this video, we'll explore 10 powerful signs that your mind works this way. And I'll tell you up front, there's a hidden reason why being around normal, happy people can leave you completely drained. We'll uncover that later. But first, let's begin with the most intense sign of all. Number 1, hyper-calculated threat detection. You don't just look at people, you scan them. Picture a simple conversation in your kitchen. Someone is talking and most people are just listening to the words. But you're noticing everything else. The slight tightening of their jaw, a tiny shift in their breathing, a subtle drop in their voice. Your brain catches it instantly. You can recognize people just by their footsteps. You know if a door was closed by the wind or slammed in frustration. Psychologically, this is linked to an overactive amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for survival. Your past taught you that danger doesn't always announce itself. So your nervous system adapted. It became a kind of internal radar, always scanning, always ready. In real life, this means you can sense tension before it explodes. You know someone is upset before they even realize it themselves. For years, you might have thought this was paranoia, that you were overthinking everything, but let's reframe that right now. You're not paranoid. You're reading human behavior at a level most people never reach. And that leads us naturally to the second sign. Number 2, the chameleon effect, survival empathy. This is one of your most powerful abilities. Have you ever noticed how your personality shifts depending on who you're with? Around energetic people, you become lively and engaging. Around quiet individuals, your tone softens. Your posture adjusts. Your humor changes. Even your choice of words adapts. This isn't fake, it's instinct. Your brain is constantly analyzing what the person in front of you needs to feel safe and comfortable. And then you become that. Because deep down, your mind understands something most people don't consciously realize. If they feel safe with you, you are safe from them. You absorb the emotional energy of a room and neutralize it. But later, when you're alone, you might feel a strange guilt, like you've lost track of who you really are. You haven't. You're adapting in real time to maintain peace. It's a highly advanced form of social intelligence, one that protects you from conflict. Now imagine your mind as a complex chessboard. This brings us to the third sign. Number 3, predictive pacing. While others live in the present moment, you're already thinking several steps ahead. You walk into a restaurant and instinctively choose a seat facing the door. On a simple trip, you've already thought about what could go wrong. Car trouble, illness, losing your phone. Before a difficult conversation, you rehearse every possible outcome in your head, every response, every reaction. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius practiced something called premeditatio malorum, imagining worst-case scenarios to stay prepared. For you, this isn't a practice, it's automatic. Because trauma removed the luxury of assuming things would be okay. Your brain became a master strategist. When things go wrong, people turn to you. While they panic, you act, calmly, precisely, as if you've already been there before. And in a way, you have. Now this leads us to one of the most fascinating paradoxes of all. Number 4, calm in chaos. Have you ever noticed this? You might feel overwhelmed by small things. A spilled drink, a lost item, an unexpected message. But when a real crisis hits, an accident, a major loss, a serious emergency, you become incredibly calm. Your emotions shut off, your mind sharpens. You become the most stable person in the room. It's because your nervous system is familiar with chaos. When it arrives, your brain doesn't panic, it recognizes it. This I understand. Small, ordinary stress feels harder because you don't have a script for normal life. But in the storm, you thrive. And if you're starting to see yourself in all of this, it means something important. Your mind was shaped under pressure. You developed in environments that required depth, awareness, and resilience far beyond your years. Which brings us to the fifth sign. Number 5, the isolation of the old soul. From a young age, you probably felt different, out of sync. While others your age were focused on small dramas or surface-level concerns, you were thinking about deeper things, real things, survival, emotions, meaning. Even now, you might sit in a room full of people and feel completely disconnected, as if you're observing rather than participating. Like you're decades older than everyone around you. Trauma accelerates emotional maturity. It forces you to understand complexity long before you're ready. The result? You develop a depth that is rare, but often isolating. You crave real conversations, truth, authenticity, and your mind has very little patience for anything superficial. Which naturally brings us to the sixth sign. Number 6, radical, unyielding independence. For you, asking for help doesn't feel simple, it feels dangerous. There's a deeply rooted belief inside you, almost physical, that relying on someone else will lead to one of 3 outcomes. They will disappoint you, they will use it against you, or they will disappear the moment you truly need them. So you adapt. You do everything yourself. You learn skills alone. You solve problems alone. You carry emotional weight that most people would share, entirely on your own shoulders. And when someone asks if you're okay, you smile and say, "I'm fine," even when you're not. This isn't just independence, it's survival. But look at what it's created. Because you refused to be helpless, you became capable. Exceptionally capable. You've likely built a wide range of skills, learned how to navigate complex situations, and developed a level of self-reliance that most people never reach. You became your own protector, your own guide, your own safety net. That's not weakness, that's intelligence. But there's a cost to this level of independence, a heavy one. And that leads us directly into the 7th sign, the trap we hinted at from the beginning. Number 7, the crushing exhaustion of overmentalizing. This is the reason why being around people, especially happy, carefree people, can leave you completely drained. Imagine going out for a simple coffee. For most people, it's just a conversation. Someone says, "I'm fine," and that's the end of it. But for you, that's where the analysis begins. You notice the slight tension in their shoulders, the way their eyes avoid contact, the rhythm of their speech. You compare it to how they acted last week, last month. You try to decode what they really mean, what they're not saying, what they might want from you. Your brain doesn't just listen, it interprets. Constantly, when you're around people who are unaware, relaxed, and emotionally light, your mind takes on extra responsibility. You start reading the room for everyone, anticipating tension, managing emotional energy. You become the unspoken guardian of the atmosphere. And that's exhausting, not because you're weak, not because you're antisocial, but because your brain is running a high-level process in the background, analyzing, adjusting, calculating, while everyone else is simply present. You're carrying the emotional weight of the entire room. And over time, that drains you. So when that mental weight becomes too heavy, your mind reaches for something else. Number 8, dark humor as a shield. Your sense of humor isn't like everyone else's. You can laugh at things that make others uncomfortable. Pain, tragedy, even your own past. Sometimes you'll say something in a serious setting, maybe even in therapy, that makes people pause. But to you, it feels natural, because humor for you isn't just entertainment, it's transformation. To turn pain into something you can laugh at, you have to step outside of it. You have to analyze it, reshape it, and present it in a way that gives you control. That takes intelligence. It's not about avoiding reality. It's about shrinking something overwhelming into something manageable. You're not denying the darkness. You're learning how to carry it. Now, this deep need for control, this constant awareness, brings us to the ninth sign. Number 9. Hypersensitivity to shifts in patterns. On the outside, you might seem calm, flexible, easygoing, but internally, your sense of safety is built on patterns. It's predictability. If something small changes, like a friend taking longer than usual to reply, your mind doesn't just brush it off. It starts asking questions. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something strange? Is something changing? Your brain begins connecting dots, searching for meaning, preparing for the worst. Because in your past, when patterns broke, something followed. Something negative, something painful. So now your system stays alert. But here's the other side of that sensitivity. It makes you incredibly attentive. You notice when someone you care about isn't okay, even when they say they are. You remember details, preferences, boundaries. You instinctively protect others from discomfort. You're tuned into the smallest shifts, because once upon a time you had to be. And finally, we arrive at the 10th and most profound sign. Number 10, alchemical forgiveness. This is where your intelligence becomes something almost spiritual. When someone hurts you, betrays you, lashes out, treats you unfairly, you don't just react with anger. You analyze. You look beyond their actions and try to understand why. You see their insecurities, their wounds, their fears, the parts of them that are still broken. And because you see that, it becomes incredibly hard to hate them. You understand them. You separate the person from their behavior. That's a rare kind of emotional depth, but it comes with danger, because sometimes you tolerate too much. You excuse behavior that shouldn't be excused. You allow people to stay in your life longer than they should, because you feel compassion for their pain. You end up sacrificing your own well-being to protect theirs. And yet, despite that, there is something undeniably beautiful about this trait. You see humanity where others see enemies. You find understanding where others choose judgment. And that level of empathy is something most people will never reach. So let's pause for a moment. If you've recognized yourself in these signs, then you probably spent a long time believing something was wrong with you, that your mind was too much, too intense, too sensitive, too exhausting. You may have wished over and over again that you could just turn it off, that you could be simple, light, and carefree like everyone else. It is. But here's the truth. You were never broken. You were rewired. Your mind learned to see what others overlook, to feel what others ignore, to understand what others avoid. Yes, it's heavy, but it's also powerful. What you carry isn't just a burden. It's a form of intelligence, quiet, sharp, and incredibly rare. The next step isn't to silence it. It's to learn how to use it. Because once you do, this awareness that once exhausted you can become your greatest strength. And in the next part, we're going to break down exactly how to take this hyper-awareness and turn it into something stable, controlled, and empowering. So it no longer drains you, but defines you. Now, before we go any further, I want you to take a moment and really sit with this. Everything you've just recognized about yourself, this constant awareness, this deep analysis, this emotional intensity, it was never random. It was never a flaw. It was your mind adapting in the only way it knew how. But adaptation without direction becomes exhaustion. So in this final part, we're going to shift from understanding to mastery. Because having this level of awareness is one thing. Learning how to control it, that's where your real power begins. The first shift, from constant scanning to intentional awareness. Right now, your mind scans everything automatically. Every tone, every movement, every subtle change. It never turns off. But here's the truth most people never tell you. You don't need to analyze everything to stay safe anymore. The skill you developed was necessary in the past. But now it needs boundaries. Start small. When you walk into a room, instead of scanning everyone, choose one simple anchor. Your breath, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the sound of a single voice. Train your mind to focus instead of absorb. Because awareness without control becomes overload, but awareness with intention becomes precision. The second shift, redefining safety. For most of your life, safety meant control. predicting outcomes, avoiding conflict, staying one step ahead. But real safety isn't about controlling everything. It's about knowing that even if something goes wrong, I know you can handle it. You've already proven that. You've survived chaos, you've adapted, you've endured. So instead of asking, how do I prevent this from happening? Start asking, if it happens, can I handle it? And the answer, if you're honest, is almost always yes. This shift alone will release an enormous amount of pressure from your mind. The third shift, boundaries over understanding. This is one of the hardest lessons for someone with your level of empathy. You understand people deeply. You see their pain, their reasons, their wounds. But understanding someone does not mean you have to tolerate them. Let me say that again clearly. You can understand someone completely and still choose to walk away. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves your patience. And not everyone deserves your forgiveness, especially if it comes at the cost of your peace. Your empathy is a gift, but without boundaries it becomes self-destruction. So start asking yourself a different question. Is this person respecting me, or am I just understanding them? That distinction will change your life. The fourth shift, letting go of the need to perform. That chameleon ability, the way you adapt to everyone, it kept you safe, but now it can slowly erase you. You don't have to adjust yourself for every room. You don't have to match every energy. You don't have to make everyone comfortable. It's okay to be steady. It's okay to be consistent. It's okay to let people feel you, without filters, without adjustments. The right people won't be threatened by that. They'll recognize it, and they'll respect it. The fifth shift, turning overthinking into structured thinking. Your mind is powerful, but right now it's unstructured. It jumps from one possibility to another, creating endless loops. So instead of trying to stop thinking, give your thinking a direction. When your mind starts spiraling, ask yourself 3 simple questions. What do I actually know for certain? What am I assuming? What is the most realistic outcome? This brings your mind out of imagination and back into reality. You're not trying to silence your intelligence. You're training it. The sixth shift, reclaiming your energy. That exhaustion you feel after social interactions, it's real. Because you're not just talking. You're processing, interpreting, adjusting, managing. So you need to recover intentionally. Not by isolating completely, but by creating spaces where you don't have to analyze. Quiet walks, music, time alone without stimulation. Moments where your mind doesn't have to perform. Because even the strongest system needs rest. The final shift, accepting who you are. This might be the most important one. You've spent so much of your life wishing you could be different. Less aware, less intense, less affected. But that's not who you are. And more importantly, that's not who you're meant to be. You are someone who sees deeply, feels deeply, understands deeply. That comes with weight, but it also comes with clarity, with insight, with a level of perception that most people will never experience. You don't need to become like everyone else. You need to become a more controlled version of yourself. Because when you learn to guide this awareness, when you stop letting it control you and start using it with intention, you become something rare. Someone who is calm, but aware, empathetic, but boundaried, observant, but not overwhelmed. And that is where your true power lies. So if you've stayed with me through this entire journey, I want you to understand something clearly. You were never broken. You were shaped, refined, trained by experiences that most people couldn't handle. And now, you have a choice. To keep carrying this as a burden, or to start using it as a tool. Because once you learn how to master it, this traumatic intelligence becomes something else entirely. It becomes clarity. It becomes strength. It becomes quiet, unshakable power. And that is who you really are.